You know, as much as we all love the traditional aspects of mixed martial arts, the honor, the respect, the the professionalism between these fighters, we all enjoy a good storyline. We very much enjoy the entertainment aspect of fighting. It adds an extra element of interest and allure to the sport. And when you come across two fighters who've grown to have a heated rivalry over months, years, especially when they used to be friends or training partners, it adds an extra dynamic to a fight that's rarely seen in MMA. In this video, we'll be discussing the top MMA bromances that have turned into rivalries. This is Rob from Up Next MMA, and let's get right into it. Number 1 on our list, TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt. In my opinion, this is the most heated bromance turned rivalry that we have to date. These guys used to be training partners at Team Alpha Male, had a brief friendship, and not only were they good friends at one point, to this day and time, they still don't like each other at all. But to put this rivalry in context, we need to explain their brief history. The beef between TJ and Cody actually started as a beef between TJ and Urijah Faber, who owns Team Alpha Male. TJ came up under Urijah at Team Alpha Male for several years, going all the way back to their WEC days. They became pretty tight and grew to be the top bantamweights in the UFC. Now, enter Duane Ludwig. He joined Team Alpha Male as their head striking coach. In this stretch, while Duane Bang Ludwig was the top striking coach at Alpha Male, many of the top Alpha Male fighters, who, keep in mind, Alpha Male fighters are usually primarily wrestlers, at least they were back then. Their fighters had their best stretch of finishing opponents by knockout that I personally have ever seen of the Alpha Male fighters. They all credited their improvement in striking to Duane Ludwig, and he was a preliminary catalyst in a lot of their fighters getting these knockouts and improving their stand-up as a whole. Now, Duane developed a personal relationship with TJ and took him under his wing. TJ ended up winning the UFC Bantamweight title at UFC 173 when he fought Renan Barao, I think it's Henan Barao, sorry, on just a few days' notice. Now TJ is the new king of the division, and Duane is becoming TJ's personal MMA coach. Fast forward a few months, Duane is now leaving Team Alpha Male. No one knows the exact details about why Duane left, but many believe it was over the money that Duane was being compensated for mentoring these fighters, especially since many of them had the success and finishing rate against opponents that had been the best it had ever been since he had been there. Now, that's just a rumor. I don't know if that's exactly true. But anyway, what we do know is that Duane leaves. TJ leaves soon after Duane, and TJ cited he left due to a business opportunity with Muscle Farm, as well as, wanting to go train with Duane and see if he could, learn more from him, right? All actually seems to be good for a few months, but, ahead of TJ's next title defense, TJ begins to trash Urijah in front of the media. TJ said Urijah had a problem with him leaving and has held a grudge since. Urijah and TJ have not spoken since, well, at least this is what TJ said, that they had not spoken since TJ and Duane had left Team Alpha Male. Now, Urijah denies this till this day and says that he supported Dillashaw leaving Team Alpha Male because fighters switch gyms all the time, but, there was still a heated rivalry between the two. Now, fast forward another year or so, TJ loses the belt to Dominic Cruz. Now, Cody Garbrandt, this is where he comes to enter the equation, he beats Cruz for the UFC Bantamweight Championship several months after Dominic beat TJ. Cody is training out of Team Alpha Male full-time and is pretty tight with Urijah, pretty much sees him as a big brother. Now, TJ and Cody only overlapped for a few months at Team Alpha Male, but Cody very much remembers how TJ left. Cody thought TJ had been disrespectful to Urijah and Team Alpha Male and therefore inherited the beef. They went at each other in press conferences and interviews all the time back in 2017. They also filmed a season of The Ultimate Fighter together, given that TJ was now the #1 contender for the title. During that season, they had a few physical altercations, and there was so much animosity that came to a head ahead of their scheduled fight at UFC 217, I think it was, in November of 2017. Shockingly, TJ ended up winning the fight by knockout, and it was a come-from-behind win. Cody had him stunned in the first round, and I actually thought Cody was going to win, but TJ came back and hit him with a head kick, and then came up with a flurry of punches and finished him. Like, TJ actually got in Cody's face after he knocked him out. Like, that photo of him head-to-head with Cody is one of the most infamous pictures I've ever seen after a fight. I'll never forget it because there's never been anything like that after a fight where someone had knocked the other guy out and then got in their face afterwards. It was crazy. And of course, these guys would rematch, I think 8 or 9 months later at UFC 227, and TJ knocked Cody out again. This rivalry is still one of the most heated ones over the past few years, especially after TJ popped for drugs. Cody continued to bash him in front of the media. I mean, these guys have not gotten over it, and I wouldn't be shocked if they fought again, to be honest. But yeah, that's probably the most heated one to date. I mean, they still don't like each other, and their rivalry runs deep. So does even TJ and Urijah. They don't like each other, man. But anyway, on to the next one. This one is more of recent memory, but it'll still go down as a classic. Colby Covington and Tyron Woodley. Tyron and Colby used to be training partners at Team, I think it was American Top Team actually. They were training partners and friends for a short while. However, things changed when Tyron won the welterweight championship from Robbie Lawler at UFC 201. I think that was in July of 2016. Then a rift started to grow between the two. I think they could foresee that they might fight each other sometime in the future. And, this kind of came to be. Colby had a pretty stellar run to the title in 2016 into 2017. Especially in the 2017 where he began a verbal and social media tirade toward Tyron as a way to draw attention toward himself in a potential matchup. Obviously, Tyron took this personally. He blocked Colby Covington on all of his social media platforms and vowed to beat the brakes off of him. This was the fight to make in 2018, but it never materialized for several reasons. Both of these fighters got injured for various points in time. I know Tyron was out for most of 2018 due to a shoulder injury. Colby Covington ended up fighting Rafael dos Anjos, but then had to get surgery, I think on a deviated septum that he had, something like that. But they were both out for long stretches of time, and they think they both also had their struggles negotiating with the UFC in terms of money and compensation for a potential fight as well. But man, that rivalry ran deep, and everybody wanted to see that fight back then when they were both at the height, especially when Tyron had the belt. Unfortunately, though, Kamaru Usman came in and ruined all plans of that. He beat Tyron Woodley, I think it was in March of 2019. I forget which UFC that was, but he swept Tyron on the scorecards, beat him, took the belt from him, and then he fought Colby Covington at UFC 246 in December of 2019, and that was a crazy fight, back and forth. That's a classic. I mean, they just stood up and banged for 5 rounds. And Usman eventually knocked out Colby, broke his jaw in the process too. But, you know, during that whole time when they were both scheduled to fight other people, Colby and Tyron were constantly jabbing back and forth at each other in front of the media. It was ridiculous. They weren't even scheduled to fight each other, but the animosity ran so deep. But now it seems like they're finally booked to fight at the end of September. It should be a great fight. I'm interested to see how it goes, but man, I don't expect the rivalry to come to an end after the fight. I really don't. Both guys are just too emotional, too heated, and the hate runs so deep. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, on to our next heated rival. Just kidding, guys. We're gonna cap the video here right for now. I don't like the videos to run too long, so we're gonna continue with the list in part 2. We're gonna get into some old school rivalries that you OG MMA fans are really going to remember and cherish. And for you newer MMA fans, you're going to learn about some of these older grudge matches as well. But anyway, tell me who you guys think is going to win the Colby versus Tyron fight. I personally think Colby's gonna win. I think Colby's a terrible matchup for Tyron. I really do. But we'll see. I'm curious to see what you guys think. And tell me, what do you think of the TJ Cody rivalry? Because, man, that to me is one of the most heated ones and one of the most real and authentic rivalries that we've seen in a long time. And what do you guys think of that? Anyway, if you'd like the video, please smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and also hit the notification bell so you know whenever we have a new video coming out. We try to get 3 videos out to you guys every week, sometimes more. And, you know, love talking to you guys. I appreciate you watching until the end, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.